YouTubers, it is I, the one and only HeathAve. It is Saturday, and I know I haven't done a video in a long time, just haven't really been motivated to do one. Been dealing with school, playing games, the usual. And I'm sorry if I don't really seem like I'm really interesting right now. I've just been really kind of out of it. Anyways, the other night my friends would kind of badger me. It's like, oh, do another video, blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of like I just haven't been motivated to do one. Don't really, and I don't really have that good recording equipment or anything. I'm just using my iPad. It's like, oh, that hasn't stopped you before. It's like, but that limits me to what I can do. And then it's like, oh, why not do a review of Fallout 4? So it's like, you know what? Fine. I'll do a review of Fallout 4. And I'll say this. It's a good game. Definitely worth $60. Is it perfect? No, it's not like people, like one friend of mine, it's like all fanboying about it. It's like, oh, it's like the best game I ever played. It's like, and it's saying like he hasn't encountered these issues that everyone else has encountered. It's like, I call bullshit on that, but whatever. And I know he's going to give me a lot of shit whenever he sees this video. But no, I don't care. I don't give a fuck mood right now. And there are quite a few issues I have with the game. One of them, that is my biggest gripe, is the dialogue system. Yes, the dialogue. I know there's going to be a lot of players that's going to agree with me, and then there's going to be fanboys that's going to be like, there's nothing wrong with the dialogue system, it's more intuitive or whatever. And it's like, no, it's dumbed down. They went for like more of the BioWare approach with the dialogue system. And it's like, okay, I guess like they went for that because they have voice actors now and they didn't want to say overly used lines. And it's kind of like, you have a voice actor for a reason to say all these lines, but the dialogue system is just dumbed down. Like, you're limited to 4 choices per time, and a lot of times the things you say don't even really change that much. It's like, whenever you talk to the mayor, it's like, oh, I support the news, and he says the same thing. It's like, whoa, I'm not saying we're not defending our rights. It's like, oh, I hate the news. Like, oh, I'm not saying we're not defending our rights. It's like, you're saying the exact same thing to 2 completely different lines. And you also have the issue where you don't know exactly. I mean, in Mass Effect, it's like, okay, good things you're gonna say is on this side, on the left side. Bad things gonna be on the right side or top or bottom, however it was. But in this, it's kind of like you don't truly know. It's not like they put good options here or there. It's not like they directly define that. And the older dialogue system actually tells you the full thing they're gonna say. They don't just give you a few words. Like, I remember when I was talking to Nick Valentine, the detective, and I said this one line. I had no idea my dude was gonna start yelling at him. I'm like, whoa, calm your tits. I did not mean to do that. But whenever you're only given a few words, and it's not like they're all in caps or anything, you have no clue what your character is going to say sometimes. And especially how they say it. And in the previous games, the dialogue system, your attributes actually help out. In this one, it's like, you don't have any dialogue options for like having an intelligence of 8 or something like that. There's none of that. And since with the leveling system, you don't put points into speech or barter, sneaking, like you just pick perks in this game. You just pick perks, and it's kind of like, it's going for like what they kind of did with, well, it's similar to Skyrim, but different. Skyrim, like, you actually use the weapons or magic, and you actually level them up, and that's start totaling to your actual level, like you leveling up yourself to get a new perk. This is different. You just kill stuff, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter what weapon you use. Then you put points into the different perks. Gunslingers, like, you know, for your small arm weapons. Riflemen for your non-automatic rifles. Commando for automatic rifles and stuff. And it's kind of, it's different, but then it's like, I didn't have, I don't know, I guess I didn't have a huge gripe. I mean, it's different, but it's kind of like, why not just use the old system? The old system, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I guess for this one, they kind of wanted to do the whole thing what they did with Skyrim, where you can level up until you maxed out all your skills. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that sounds cool. It's like, oh, I can keep leveling up until I get everything maxed out. But then again, it's kind of like, well, then your character doesn't necessarily have any specialties anywhere. If he's a jack of all trades, he's good everywhere. So the leveling system's kind of iffy. So is the dialogue system. Like I said, you're limited to 4 choices at a time. I prefer the older dialogue system much, much more. And a friend of mine was like getting really onto me. He's like, "Oh, you're one of those guys." He's sick and tired of hearing people complain about the dialogue system. Well, if they're complaining about it, there's most likely a reason. Because it's one thing, it's not like any of the other Fallout games. All the other Fallout games had like a list of lines you could say. It's like, oh, just because it's like, oh, they had to get voice, like they got voice actors, so they probably had to limit it. It's like that doesn't really help its case. In fact, I would rather go with the old dialogue system and not even have my own personal voice actor than have a voice actor but limited to 4 choices at a time and have no attributes to intelligence. Oh yeah, and the speech options. Let me get into that as well. Whenever like your charisma takes part, it doesn't give you a percentage of how well you're gonna do. It's just yellow, easy, orange, medium, and red is hard. And it's like, am I gonna pass it? And it's kind of like, because whenever I would start talking to this one character, and it's like, keep on trying to use my charisma options, and then it's like, oh, it's red, and it doesn't change it doesn't, I just spit out there for a moment, it doesn't change depending on how high your charisma is, because it's like, oh, I have pretty high charisma, but it's like, it's still red. Does that mean I'm still gonna have issues? Like, it doesn't clearly clarify it. So the dialogue system, I know I'm saying a lot of big gripes about the game, but it's a fun game. It's definitely worth $60. The combat's definitely better. The world, it may kind of be smaller, but that's just to eliminate all the like extra space that is uninteresting that was in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. You actually have a lot of interesting places, like a lot of, but it's much more compact together, and you have all these cool buildings and different ways to get about them, which is actually pretty cool. Navigation is like definitely a lot more entertaining, and I honestly like what they did with the whole legendary, like, oh, depending on what difficulty you play on, the more legendary creatures that pop up, and they carry either a unique weapon or a unique, well, scratch that. Not, they still have unique weapons and armor in the game, but they also have a crap load of like, I don't know how to describe it, I guess legendary gear. Let's call it that, since you get it from legendary creatures. And it always has like, but the legendary gear, it's just like a dime a dozen, but it's always awesome. Like, oh, let's start looting for like legendary gear, kill this creature. Ooh, I just got a 10mm pistol, sorry. Been doing accents a lot. Like I was saying, a 10mm pistol that, upon critical hit chance, I can freeze my enemy. And you have a bunch of good weapons like that. And apparently, there's even some odd ones, like, oh, I have a sword with unlimited ammo. It's like, I haven't come across it myself. Someone else said that happened to someone on Tumblr or Reddit or whatever. I'm like, I have not come across an odd weapon, a piece of equipment like that. And there's definitely room to, they could have added for when it comes to, like, crafting your armor and stuff. It's like, don't get me wrong, it's cool. It's like, oh, I can have these shoulder pieces, this chest piece, these leg pieces, but there's kind of a limit of what you can put that all on. Like, can't really put that on suits, most suits anyway, and a lot of other gear. And it's kind of like, well, these armor pieces, well, it'll make these other outfits kind of useless to wear. It's like, oh, if you're the kind of person that likes wearing a suit, then you kind of out of luck there. And oh wow, it's already 10 minutes. Combat's like I believe I touched upon this earlier. Combat's definitely a lot better. It feels better. That's the way it's like, oh, that's like no longer stop motion, it's just slow moving. It's like, okay, that's pretty cool. I like the whole critical meter. You keep on using VATs, and then you can build up critical meter. That I thought was actually really cool. So you can you're gonna land a confirmed critical hit. That I thought was actually a pretty cool touch. They actually have some pretty cool aspects into the game. Graphics, they're slightly better. They definitely have like better physics and stuff for like the people and stuff, but when you look at textures and some other stuff, it's just like doesn't seem like it's really that up to date, I would say. Or well, I mean, it's a Bethesda game, so whenever open world games come out, it's like they may not always have the best textures and graphics and such. But there's definitely improvement, but then in other aspects, it doesn't really seem to change that much. It's like it gets blown away by other games. Like haven't played Metal Gear Solid personally, but I've seen like a lot of footage, and it's like, wow, that game looks beautiful, and it just blows away at games like Fallout 4, because Fallout 4 just doesn't really seem like it really improved that much on graphics this time around. And let's see, I touched upon graphics. It's definitely a good game. I definitely enjoyed it. I played the crap out of it like weeks straight. On my one profile, I have like over 4 days worth of gameplay, so that's like how many hours again? A lot. So there's definitely gonna be some things that I feel like like big Fallout fans, like, well, I haven't played the first two Fallouts, but I played 3 in New Vegas, and I enjoy the crap out of them. New Vegas especially, I enjoyed that one the most out of the previous ones. I should add, not for people to flip out, like, oh, you're like New Vegas more than 4. No, I did not say that. And I'm sorry, I'm just really out of it. I just was like doing a video because it's been a little while since I did one, and why not? And I think that about does it. This is HeathAve signing off.